At its core, mixed martial arts is about two athletes trying to impose their will on one another in the cage. Yet, if it were that simple, the intrigue for most fans would have long diminished. In truth, the connection we have with these amazing fighters keeps people tuning in just about every week. At the end of the day, the ability to relate to athletes on a human level makes the results inside the octagon feel so much more important. Of course, knowing a competitor's story and following their career through good times and bad makes for more than a few heartfelt moments. To drive the previous points home, let's relive 10 of MMA's very best feel-good moments. Number 10. Alexander Gustafsson proposes to his girlfriend. At UFC Fight Night 109, Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson picked up one of the biggest wins of his career, knocking out current light heavyweight champion Glover Teixeira in front of his home crowd in Sweden. However, his Fight of the Night performance would be upstaged by what followed. After vanquishing Teixeira, the Mauler got down on one knee and proposed to his girlfriend, Moa Antonio Johansson. Johansson accepted the proposal, and on May 28, 2017, the former title challenger officially became engaged. The couple now has 2 children together, a daughter born in 2017, followed by a son in 2018. Number 9. Tyron Woodley's mom hugs Kamaru Usman. After defeating Robbie Lawler at UFC 201, the chosen one Tyron Woodley had a remarkable run as a welterweight champion. During his reign, Woodley defended his title against Stephen Thompson, Damian Maia, and Darren Till, before running into the Nigerian Nightmare in March of 2019. When the two clashed at UFC 235, Usman was able to take the title with relative ease, dominating the chosen one for the better part of 5 rounds. Despite coming up short, Woodley handled the loss with class, and so did his mother, Deborah. Following the event, the UFC showed a clip of Usman limping backstage after the victory. Surprisingly, the newly crowned champion was greeted and embraced by none other than Deborah Woodley. The two shared a heartfelt hug in which Deborah offered words of encouragement to Usman.
It's okay. It's all good, baby. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good, honey. Bless your heart. It's all good. It's your turn. It ain't his time. It's your time. Be encouraged. You hear me? And keep on working, because it's going to come for you. And you take it to him.
The touching exchange even made Joe Rogan shed some tears.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And
shit,
even Tyron, the way Tyron handled it's crazy, right? It makes me cry.
Number 8. Dominick Cruz comes back to reclaim the bantamweight title. If everyone loves a good comeback story, people will undoubtedly enjoy the tale of Dominick Cruz's second UFC title win. After defending his bantamweight title against Demetrius Johnson in 2011, the Dominator looked poised for a lengthy championship run that could place him among the all-time greats. However, while preparing for a bout with URIAH Faber, Cruz suffered a significant ACL tear that would mark the beginning of a series of debilitating injuries. The bantamweight star would battle through multiple surgeries after his body rejected an ACL from a cadaver. A torn groin further halted his return, which forced him to ultimately vacate the title. Finally, after nearly 3 years away from the sport, Cruz returned at UFC 178 and defeated Takeya Mizugaki in spectacular fashion. Sadly, the initial comeback was short-lived as he suffered yet another ACL tear. Finally, having struggled with injuries for the better part of 4.5 years, Cruz would get a chance to reclaim his bantamweight crown in January of 2016 in a bout with TJ Dillashaw. Despite his opponent's lengthy hiatus, Dillashaw couldn't fend off the challenger, who showed no signs of ring rust. After picking up a split decision victory, Dominick Cruz defied the odds and silenced critics by completing an improbable comeback story. Number 7. Cody Garbrandt fulfills his promise to Maddux Maple. Former UFC champion Cody Garbrandt's nickname is No Love. However, the URIAH Faber protege has shown lots of love to a young cancer survivor named Maddux Maple. The two first met in Ohio at a time when Garbrandt was a troubled youth whose life had gotten off track. On the other hand, Maddux Maple had been battling leukemia and was literally fighting for his life. Cody Garbrandt, an aspiring fighter, dreamed of making it into the UFC, while his younger counterpart wanted nothing more than to be cancer-free. So, the two made a pact. Maddux Maple would beat cancer and one day accompany Garbrandt into the UFC octagon. Fortunately, a storybook ending was in store. At UFC 189, the inspirational 9-year-old accompanied his friend to the ring to see him defeat Henry Briones. Better still, in 2018, it was announced that Maple's cancer was in remission. Furthermore, after defeating Dominick Cruz at UFC 207 to claim the bantamweight title, Garbrandt proceeded to wrap the belt around Maple's waist.
Maddux Maple was 5 years old, diagnosed with leukemia, and fought his ass to be able to walk me down here and for me to finally be able to do this for him.
Number 6. Matt Hughes makes the walk to the octagon after his train accident. UFC Hall of Famer Matt Hughes is one of the best competitors to ever set foot in the octagon. The two-time welterweight champion holds signature wins over George St. Pierre, BJ Penn, and Royce Gracie. Still, one of his most challenging contests occurred outside of the cage after he was struck by an oncoming train in June of 2015. After the accident, the Illinois native found himself in a medically induced coma, fighting for his life. While he managed to pull through, Hughes had to relearn to walk, talk, and regain other normal functions, a process that is still ongoing to this day. Still, fans got a chance to celebrate a legend that almost left us too soon when he walked to the cage on his own at UFC Fight Night 124 in 2018. The crowd cheered loudly and celebrated the impressive reemergence of one of the sport's best. Number 5. Glover Teixeira wins the light heavyweight title at the age of 42. One would be hard-pressed to find anyone in the MMA community who has an unkind thing to say about Glover Teixeira. The Chuck Liddell understudy is widely regarded as one of the sport's genuine good guys. He is also one of the most unlikely champions in recent memory. While Teixeira appeared to have the making of a future title holder early in his UFC run, a one-sided defeat to then-champion John Jones, combined with trading wins and losses for several years after, caused many to write the Brazilian out of the title picture. However, starting at the age of 39, Teixeira would put together a 6-fight win streak. Of course, the streak would culminate with a 42-year-old Glover Teixeira defeating Jan Blachowicz for the gold in October of 2021. MMA fans were truly inspired to see Teixeira become the oldest first-time champion in the promotion's history. Number 4. Robbie Lawler checks in on Nick Diaz following their UFC 266 contest. UFC 266 featured a rematch 17 years in the making between ruthless Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz. While there was plenty of interest in the Stockton native's long-awaited return, there was also some concern that he may have felt forced to come back. Whatever his reasons, a 38-year-old Diaz stepped into the cage with the ruthless one this past September. The Stockton native had a respectable showing, but hardly looked like the man who captured Strikeforce Gold many years back. In the end, an exhausted Nick Diaz uncharacteristically waved off the fight in the 3rd round. However, a moment of kinship between the two fighters followed when Lawler embraced his opponent and asked how he was doing. Lawler's concern for Diaz was a touching scene that illustrated the mutual respect between the two. Number 3. Anderson Silva and URIAH Hall's post-fight respect. As a dominant champion and one of the pound-for-pound best on any list, Anderson Silva is one of the most respected athletes in the business, even among his competitors. That admiration was on full display in Silva's final UFC fight against URIAH Hall. At UFC Vegas 12, Hall managed to TKO his idol and pick up the biggest win of his career. In the aftermath, Hall hugged the longtime middleweight king and burst into tears, even going so far as to apologize for defeating him.
You make my life special. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you, brother. I'm so sorry.
Number 2. FORREST Griffin and STEPHAN BONNAR both earn UFC contracts. In a fight that helped create more than a few new UFC fans, FORREST Griffin and STEPHAN BONNAR both put on the performance of a lifetime at the Ultimate Fighter 1 finale. Not only did the two over-deliver on everyone's expectations, the bout is hailed by many pundits as the greatest fight in MMA history. However, when the time finally expired, it was Griffin who got the victory. While only the winner was supposed to get a UFC contract, Bonnar was so impressive in defeat that UFC President Dana White also awarded him a deal.
Frank, Lorenzo, and I have gotten together and we've decided there is no loser in this fight, and we're going to offer STEPHAN BONNAR a 6-figure contract with the UFC.
Anyone who witnessed the match live knew they had seen something special, both during and after the bout. Number 1. Diego Sanchez fulfills the dream of Isaac Marquez. There has been plenty of talk about fighters and their various run-ins with the law in recent times. However, it's important to remember that these athletes do a lot of good as well. Isaac the Shermanator Marquez is a UFC superfan with Down syndrome who formed a friendship with Diego Sanchez while visiting his training facility, Jackson Wink MMA, in 2017. Moreover, Sanchez granted his new friend an opportunity he could have only dreamed of, a chance to compete in the cage. After a few minutes of back-and-forth fighting, the Shermanator managed to pick up his first career win via armbar. In a touching scene, Sanchez lifted his friend onto his shoulders to celebrate the victory. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.